If elected, who would you work for, and in what priority would you put politics, country, state, and district? And is your vote for sale? Candidate Huddleston. Candidate Johnson.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to see so many familiar faces, and thank you all for coming. And ladies, thank you for giving us an opportunity to share our experiences and what we think about life and how we can make it better for all of you and for your family and for your children and for your grandchildren as well. These are tough times. These are tough times for all of us. And when you look around and you see what your government is doing, what in the world is the government doing that's helping you? Or maybe the question should be, what's the government doing that's hindering you? And so many of you, if you own a small business, if you have children trying to go to college, if you're trying to find a job, what's the priority of our government, and what's the priority of your congressman? Your congressman is your voice. Your congressman has to fight for you, has to fight for you and your values. I've lived in this great state of North Carolina for over 50 years. 50 years. This state has been so good to me and my family. And I have that honor to serve you in Washington. For 35 years, I was in broadcasting. You never saw a newspaper article that said Harold Johnson was bought on TV. That's not going to happen. I'm not going to Washington to make friends, to become the next senator. I'm going up there to serve you. That's the purpose of the House of Representatives. That's what it's designed to do. I'll be back here on weekends. I'll be doing everything I possibly can to get this economy in this district going again. There are issues in Raleigh that we have to look at. Our governor is standing pat, refusing to say we need to go offshore to drill for oil and natural gas, which would mean millions and billions of dollars to the great state of North Carolina. She is refusing to take any action to put that procedure forward that we need to do. This is wrong. I would sit down with her and just say, Governor, please change your stance on this issue, creating jobs, a lot of jobs, hundreds of jobs, thousands of jobs for the people in your state, the people you represent. We can't go through another 5 years or 10 years of taxation, taxation, taxation. People need jobs. We can find jobs. And we need a strength of a Ronald Reagan right now that can look at all of you folks and just say, you know what, we'll get through this. It's going to get better. It's absolutely going to get better, but we have to stick together. We have to work together. We have to want to do it together. And as your congressman, that's exactly what I'm going to say, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I will be there for you 24/7. That's my pledge to you. Thank you.
What will you do to protect state rights? Candidate Johnson.
I think when we talk about the 10th Amendment, it is there for a reason. It's there to give states what we might call redress. When an issue with the federal government is involved with them and they don't like it and they think that indeed their powers are being limited or taken away, then they have every right to step in and address the situation. We're seeing that with health care now, because many of the states are uniting together and they're going to challenge this issue about health care. It's unfortunate that our governor, Bev Perdue, has decided not to join this litigation. She has steadfastly said she will not take part in this. When you look at the states, and we as a state, we can do a lot of good things without federal intervention. Unfunded mandates that are put upon the states by the federal government tear every state apart. Every state in our great union right now is under great duress for financial burdens that they must pay to the federal government for programs initiated by the federal government. It's a bully tactic, and states must stand up. Citizens must demand that their congressmen, that their senators stand up and be counted. They don't have to sit back and just say, let the federal government just take total control of every state issue. And when it comes to money, when it comes to anything else, we have to stand together. And you're seeing states do that now. And I think you're going to see more and more states get involved, and more congressmen and senators are going to be saying, I have to listen to the people of my state, and we need to step up and step forward. Thank you.
Thank you. This final question will go to Candidate Day first. The bailout program from the federal government has not helped the average American in the foreclosure process. At this point in time, the only people that have received any help from this slush fund have been the banks, insurance companies, and the car companies. What would you do? What would you do that would help the average person in this country that has lost their job in this foreclosure? Thank you, Candidate Huddleston. Candidate Johnson.
Those that are in foreclosure right now, as I'm sure many of you know, there's virtually nothing we can do to help those poor souls. If you're in foreclosure, you're in very bad shape, very bad shape. And of course, we have to go back to the Clinton administration when everything just started to unravel, because it was President Clinton who said he thought everybody should own a home. He felt like everybody deserved to have a home, where regardless of how it was going to be paid for, that wasn't the issue. And then Barney Frank, chairman, died. They jumped on the bandwagon as well. And if you'll recall, later with President Bush's administration, he was very, very concerned about where we were headed. And then he was completely shouted down by Democrats. He said, I'm very concerned about where we're going. We have to shore up the mortgage industry. He was shouted down. My daughter-in-law is a real estate lawyer. And when we were going through the period of giving homes away, literally putting nothing down, about 20%, 25, or 30%. And she would go to people that she was getting ready to close their houses, and she would say to them, it's not too late. She knew they couldn't make payments. She went to them, she would say privately to them, let me assure you here, you can still back out of this deal. And they said, why? We're getting the house for virtually nothing. We'll live in it for a while, and then we'll just let it go. And that started the spiral right there and the collapse of what we know as the housing market. For those now that are suffering even more because of the job situation, go back to health care. What did the president do? His first priority was not jobs, not helping this economy, but health care. Was it a feather in his cap? Did Nancy Pelosi want a feather in her cap as well? How could you not address the economic issues of this country when every election, the polls show it's all about the economy, always about the economy. And yet it was completely ignored by the Democrats in Washington. And now the state that we're in now, it's to the point now where so many people are losing jobs, 24,000 jobs under Larry Kissel in North Carolina alone, and still climbing. And now it's going to be even tougher to get out because economists are saying that this recovery is going to take longer than expected. And so what's the president doing? What's the White House doing? Worried about a nuclear treaty. What's it going to be next? Is amnesty going to come back on the front burner? Somebody needs to say, get the president's ear and say, stick to what you said weeks ago, that you were going to address this economic situation in this country that's falling miserably right now. A change in Washington in November can do that. As your congressman, I will fight with every ounce of energy in my body to get us back on track with jobs, 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 to the 8th District and to the great state of North Carolina. Thank you.